literally so good. This is everything you will need, and I'm gonna walk you through it. We have the recipe here off to the side, and I'm going to have it linked for you down below. I chose to make 6 like jumbo ones, but you could have made a dozen as well, dozen smaller ones. So you're gonna preset your oven to 350, and you're going to melt 6 tablespoons of butter. And I don't have a microwave, so I melt my butter on the stovetop, but if you have a microwave, that would be much easier. So we're gonna let that melt, we're gonna let that do its thing. In the meantime, while that melts, we are going to mash 3 ripe bananas. I will be honest with you, mine were like perfect for eating, but not for baking. They were fine, like they were still delicious, but the browner the banana, the sweeter it is, and so for baking it would have been a lot yummier. And I can't even imagine, because it was already so good, but you know, I would just use as ripe of a banana as you can. So you're gonna need 3 of them, and you're gonna add in your butter. The recipe was not specific on whether you use salted or unsalted. I used unsalted just because that's what I had, but I don't really think it matters. You're going to crack 2 eggs in there as well. You're going to see that we're going to do a wet mixture and then a dry mixture separately, and then add them together little by little. So you're going to stir 2 eggs in there. I'm going to try to remember all of the measurements, but if you really do want to make this, I will have the recipe down below. So you're going to use some Greek yogurt. I believe it's 2/3 of a cup of Greek yogurt. I bought vanilla Greek yogurt, honestly, kind of by accident, but I think the vanilla just added to the flavor, so that was kind of accidental. But you're going to add that into the wet mixture, and we're going to mix it all together. This was actually very easy to do and to mix together. The hardest part is the flour, which we'll get to that. You're going to use 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Mix that in as well, and if you've ever baked with vanilla, you know that a little bit goes a long way, so this mixture was smelling real good at this point. Now, in a separate bowl, you're going to add 2 cups of flour. This was me trying to measure, and then I realized, no, 2 cups is the whole cup. That was a 2-cup measuring cup, so we're going to fill that to the top. This was also like I had reached the bottom of the bag, so it was harder to kind of get out, but you're going to add your 2 cups of flour first. You're going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and then you're going to add, I think it's a teaspoon of salt as well. All teaspoons. That's my little salt container, isn't it cute? I love that. You're going to add some salt. And then, oh gosh, was this 2/3 of a cup of sugar? Whatever it was a lot of sugar. As I was pouring it in here, I was looking at it and I was like, wow, that's a lot of sugar. But, you know, it was worth it. So, I think I just used regular granulated sugar, or powdered sugar. And you're just gonna gently toss that together so it's somewhat even, and then you're gonna add it to the wet mixture. Whenever I do something like this, I always recommend do not do it all at once. It's just your arm is gonna fall off. Like, it is going to be just too hard. So I typically will do it in thirds. So I'll do this 3 times. Now, if you're fancy and you have one of those KitchenAid mixer things, first of all, I'm jealous. Second of all, that would make your life a lot easier. I would still recommend doing it either in half or in thirds, but that would make your life a lot easier. I do not have one of those. Clearly, I have the 2 arms that God gave me. I will say after the 3rd time, my arms get a little tired. when I have a kitchen one day, like a bigger kitchen with a lot of storage space, then I would love to get one of those. But for right now, I just use my arms. I also like don't really bake enough where I would feel like that purchase is warranted. But one day I really want to learn how to make bread, so whenever that time comes, maybe I'll get a KitchenAid, we'll see. Then you're gonna add your mixture into your muffin tins. This was the easiest and least messy way I could think to do this. If you have a better idea, let me know, but like pouring it from the bowl was not gonna happen. So I think I did 4 or 5 big tablespoons in each cup, and honestly they rose so much. Like, it looks like they're gonna be small muffins, but they really rose, so they ended up actually being like gigantic muffins. You'll see in the end. Then you're gonna want to soften your Nutella. Again, I do not have a microwave, so if you have a microwave, you just pop it in for 20 seconds. But Google told me to put really hot water in a bowl and just let the Nutella sit for a while. It kind of worked, but you know what? It got the job done. So I kind of just drizzled the Nutella as best as I could on top, and I will show you how to get that like swirling motion in a second. So fun fact, I'll tell you this now because this step kind of takes a while. I learned something about my new stove. If you are not aware, I just replaced my stove maybe like a month ago, and so I learned that when you use the timer built into the stove, when it reaches the end of the timer, it'll shut off. So I thought that the muffins were cooking because they needed longer. The recipe said 25 minutes. That was not correct. I had them in longer, but I put them back in and the stove was actually cooling and turning off instead of cooking, so they were really in there for a long time. So when you see them at the end and you're like, why are there so many holes on the top of them, it's because I kept sticking the knife in there. But look how cool those look. Anyway, I kept sticking the knife in the top of them to see if they were ready, because if you're familiar with baking, when you check to see if something's done, you stick a knife in it, and if it comes out clean, that means it's done. It's cooked all the way through. So you see I'm setting a timer there. I don't think I'll be doing that anymore. So here, were they done here? I don't remember. I think they were still a little raw there, but then I put them back in a couple times and they were so good. But do you see all the knife marks? I tried to hide it, but some of them really looked really bad. But anyway, I know this was a shorter video, but let me know if you guys try it and enjoy.